Welcome to episode 246 of the Shared Security Show. And joining me this week is a man who thinks he's Mickey Mouse, co-host Kevin Johnson.
It's some Mickey Mouse podcast or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what's going on here. But and also I'd like to welcome someone who is going to battle in the Canadian winter, co-host Scott Wright.
Yes. Perfect.
Happy Halloween. This is the Halloween edition.
It's the Halloween edition, yeah. This is, well, I have costumes.
I'm dressing up as a podcast.
I'm going out skiing after.
And you're going skiing and you're going to Disney World. So for those of you that not on the YouTube or watching us on YouTube, Kevin has a Mickey Mouse hat and Scott is dressed for battle, and I am dressed like I usually am as a podcast host. So
yeah.
I was going to say you're a pumpkin.
I am a pumpkin.
You're a pumpkin.
Fine. I'll take it.
Is that an orange? I just assumed it was a very bright red.
It's red.
That's right. It looks a little orange.
You know what?
A little bit. Sure.
Give me a break. I'm colorblind, all right?
Oh, okay.
Are you really?
Not only am I handicapped by being Canadian, I'm colorblind.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried? All seriousness, I'm curious. Have you ever looked at those glasses that supposedly help colorblind people see color?
I have not. My wife would like me to try them. She says, you're missing out on so much. I don't want to know what I'm missing out on. Once I have them, I'm never going to want to go back.
Take them off.
That's right.
I can see that.
I wear those all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, why don't we start talking about cybersecurity and privacy? We have some interesting stories this week. And the first one, just being a little biased, but I did recently speak about some survey results that I was working on with my company, Bishop Fox, about a survey that we sent out to about 300 ethical hackers about how they break into companies. And I don't know if anyone from Secure Ideas took that, Kevin. You may have. Somebody may have.
I don't think any of us saw it.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it was publicized on the internet and it was in partnership with SANS. But yeah, I mean, we had a lot of people take it, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. I always find it funny though when you say ethical hackers, because ethics are personal. All hackers are ethical. We just may not like what they did. It's their ethics they're following, though.
That's a great way to put that.
I
like that. But we found some interesting statistics. Found that more than 60% of those surveyed, they can actually exfiltrate data in less than 5 hours.
Yeah.
There was also some stats we pulled out about 40% we can essentially break into an environment more often than not, if not always. Right.
Yeah.
And then when we do break in, we can do that in 5 hours or less. Those are kind of the big highlights. What's also interesting is that we found that us hackers like to use social engineering and phishing as our number one attack vector. No surprise there. That result in success that very much matches up to what we see out in the wild. Right. We've talked about this many times, of course. But the other piece of this that was interesting, and we've had some really good conversations with our clients and just on this webinar about how it really emphasizes the need for protecting or detecting attackers when they're on your network, because ultimately everyone's going to get hacked eventually. Yeah. And it just comes down to how quickly can you respond to that attack, because there's so many ways and attack vectors that you have to protect, an organization has to protect themselves from. It becomes very difficult. So I'm just interested in your take in these results. I think they're kind of interesting.
Personally, I think they're interesting. I feel like it's rude to say none of it surprised me, because that implies it was. Right. And I don't mean this as like it was a useless survey or anything like that. Yeah. I just like everything I said, that makes perfect sense to me. That's exactly what I'm seeing here. We, as a matter of fact, it's funny. If I had answered the survey, I would say that I don't use social engineering to get in, because in most cases, we tell our customer that that's a waste of their money because we
That's
know
out of
we
scope.
will.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? We
Exactly.
just start with the assumed compromise breach and go from there.
Right.
Because look, if you want me to test it, I'll test it, and you can pay me for that and everything else like that. But we don't tend to do it because our customers know their people are going to click stuff. We've talked about this a million times. The thing I would like to see, here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see another survey of people who were breached and see how similar the results are. Because we all say we're trying to emulate what an attacker would do, right? Like that kind of stuff. I'd like to see that confirmed. I know that in the breaches I've worked, in the incidents I've worked, we are mimicking what attackers are doing, right? But that doesn't mean I'm right. That just means my experience says that's that. So, Bishop Fox should do that survey too.
Yeah. In fact, that we've had that as some feedback as well as like a follow up to this that might be interesting to see. But yeah, it was really good just to see kind of these results. And we also had survey, in the survey, and we'll have links to where you can download that if you're interested in seeing more of this data. We of course asked the skill and how long they've been doing pen testing, and you can kind of match up that data as well, which is also kind of interesting. So. Good stuff.
I'm fascinated. I've been, you and I talked about before we started recording. I'm traveling quite a bit right now, conference to conference to conference. And what has fascinated me is to see how many people are trying to get into the industry and where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's been kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely has. So great. So Scott.
Yes, sir.
As we prepare for battle here, let's get into our next segment, which is Aware Much?
Yes, indeed. If only I knew which story I was supposed to be talking about, because I think you stole the one that you said was going to be the Aware Much
Scam Nation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I thought it was the Scam Nation one.
Oh, yeah. Scam Nation.
The texting scams that seem to not stop.
Texting
and
scams,
evolved.
Yeah, they certainly continue to evolve. And texting is really one of those very difficult things to teach people about in terms of how to spot them, what to do about them, how to avoid them, etc. But yeah, this story is pretty sort of, I don't know what they call it, apocryphal, or, how, there's really no hope after all is said and done. The scam guys are going to be there evolving, as we said. As we patch one hole, another one opens up. But when it comes to, I think, the awareness side of things, we really don't have a lot of tools, and it's why ClickArmor sponsors this section of the podcast. In fact, I was just doing a webinar, and this is another plug for the Cybersecurity Awareness Forum that we do every 2 weeks now. Just doing one on social engineering, and we talked about texting and how difficult it is. You can't use live phishing tests to test for SMS attacks. You can't do it the way attackers do. And so, what I will sort of share in this segment is that we use scenario-based learning within the ClickArmor platform, so that when you want to simulate an SMS attack, you put people in a context. Helen's out for lunch, walking along, she gets a text message from Phil in marketing, and it says, "Hey, you got a minute?" And she has no reason to say no, but then he says, "I need you to go buy some gift cards." And if she's smart enough, maybe she gets an option to say, "Hey, can you call me?" and we could talk about it. Or she has another option to do something else that might not give her the information she needs. But if she asks if he'll call me, and he says, "Sorry, I can't, I'm too busy," then she should really just stop and say, "Yeah, sorry, if I can't confirm it's you, then I'm out of here," right? And we can do that within the scenarios within ClickArmor. So I was just going to say, those kinds of SMS-based attacks are going to need some kind of scenario-based learning for people to understand what to spot, what to look for when they're in real life.
Yeah.
So,
I think the two takeaways, and we'll have this article linked in the show notes. I thought it was actually really good. It's talking about, traditional types of SMS phishing have been easily identifiable, right? Because you're like, oh, look at this message. I'm not clicking on that. No way. That's a scam. But now they're taking an approach of just sending you a message and saying something like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Literally just a question like that, or do you know what you've done? And something very short and a question that elicits an emotional response from you. To
social
say,
engineering, man.
Wait, who is this person? And it's very easy to get lost in the moment and just reply and say, what do you mean? Who are you?
Yeah.
Do you have the right number? Like
it just as soon as they touch the right buttons, right? I mean, it goes back to the article we talked about a few months ago, the Psychology Today, right? Where the therapist who should know better can be manipulated with a couple of questions, or and threatening that they're going to lose their license to practice, and all of a sudden their mindset changes completely and they can't spot it. And they said they were like hypnotized, right? So it's the same technique.
I think the other thing I think is important that comes out of the article is, and the related article, that not actually replying to these things, not feeding the beast. I think it's imperative to point out carriers know the fraudulent numbers, right? Or at least they know what numbers are being reported as fraudulent, and they're doing nothing to actually stop the calls, right? And the Federal Trade Commission here in the U.S. just finally voted 4-0, according to the article, to ask the providers,
to ask them first.
They should be required to block the numbers. Not, hey, can you do this? Like, should you be required? Because I'll be blunt. If I was the provider, I'd be like, no, I shouldn't be required to do that. Because they make money from those numbers.
That's
right. They make money from these calls. That's not going to stop it all. But if you said to the carriers, do not deliver known fraudulent messages.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the table stakes, right? That should be what they should be doing as a minimum. Right?
That's the bare minimum.
And the only thing they've done, and that was that one act in 2019, Stir Shaken, I think it's called, where we mentioned this in the show before too, is you get these on the caller ID, it'll say scam likely. Like, we're starting to see that, but that doesn't stop the call. All it does is put, for a spoof number, scam likely. You could still pick up the phone. They could still leave a voice message.
And it drives me crazy. They don't even give me the option to say, if you think this is a spam call, just don't let them leave a message. Correct. Or hey, I got this other idea. How about you make the phone ring and don't allow people to go right to voicemail? The number of times I get a notification, hey, you have a voicemail. Every one of those voicemails is a scam. I've never gotten a legitimate voicemail that went straight to voicemail, right?
Yeah. Well, there's some things you can do depending on, the phone that you have. I know Android has some settings, but they're a little bit like Apple has that setting where you can block all unknown calls, or basically send all unknown calls to voicemail. And I actually had that turned on for a little bit, but I actually found legitimate calls that I was waiting for, whether from like a doctor or, something else, would go to voicemail. I'm like, God damn it. I can't win.
And let's be clear. I don't want it to go to voicemail. I don't check my voicemail. I hate
right.
Oh man, it drives me crazy.
I wonder if let's suppose in some magical world the phone companies do start blocking calls coming from known spammer numbers. Is the next step then that they will use SIM card swapping to do these things?
Probably.
So you're actually calling from a legitimate number?
But I'll guarantee you that if they go with SIM swapping or some other means, it's going to be harder for them to do.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, they send up these dialers and they just dial out.
Yeah.
And there's no issue at all, right?
No threshold, yeah.
Yeah, let's raise the bar. And the people who are not raising the bar are literally making money because they're not raising the bar, right? This is a case where, and I think anybody who's listened to me before knows I am a greedy capitalist. I want to make as much money as possible, right? I want to go to space.
America.
This is where if any provider said to me, hey, you know what we've done? We've done what we can to protect. I would switch every single person I'm responsible. You want to work for security as you're required to use that provider. Why? Because they're doing the right thing. Like, use it as a marketing tool. I'd watch that marketing.
Yeah. All right. Well, Scott, any other last plugs for
I'd love to encourage people to go to clickarmor.ca/CSAF for Cybersecurity Awareness Forum. That's where we have the bi-weekly live panel discussions with audience Q&A. Just finished one a few minutes ago on social engineering. The next one will be on working from home. How do we get people to work more securely from home? So nice. You can sign up there and you'll be able to join in. If you want to be a panelist, let us know. We have a really nice cross section of panelists from different industries, different geographical locations. So it's quite fun and people get a lot of value out of it. So hope to see people on the Cybersecurity Awareness Forum next time on October 19th.
All right. So our last story, 8 strange ways employees can accidentally expose data. I'll just start by saying I find some of these a little bit funny.
They're not all that strange, but they're funny.
They're all not all that strange. Some of them I was like, a little iffy there, but
I would argue that many of them were iffy.
Yeah, let's talk about a few of them. One in particular, the eyeglass reflections expose screen data on video conferencing calls.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe it.
I don't wear glasses.
I do,
so I can't speak. But
I can see Kevin's screen right now.
Yeah?
Yeah. I have the administrator password to every single thing that is sensitive in the world right now.
Kevin's got the Slack up. Yep.
Right.
Passwords. His password manager. There it is.
Yep.
All totally. Right there.
So to prevent that, I got new glasses that are like anti-glare, so people can't see.
See, I had the anti-glare stuff, and I felt like the glasses were dirty all the time. Like that they attracted. Like it was a dust magnet.
It probably is.
Fly at my face when I had them.
Yep. What else is on the list, Tom?
Yeah, that first one is stupid. Sorry.
Yeah, the first two we all know about. We talked about many times. The LinkedIn career updates trigger SMS phishing attacks. We just covered that actually in a recent episode. The social media messaging app pictures reveal sensitive background info. So people taking pictures of themselves with their lanyard, with their access card. In full plain view, things like that.
That's one of those double-edged sword things, right? Where the law enforcement often uses that to catch bad guys.
Yeah. They absolutely do.
Yep.
Absolutely do.
Yep.
The data ingestion script mistypes result in incorrect database use. That one's a little strange. I get it. It's somebody types in like a wrong IP address, right? And then that ends up in a database and then it exposes somebody else's information, or
that's just a mistake. That's
but we've seen that. For as long as I've been around, we've had development environments. I was working for a company that had to pay out money to their providers because they submitted test claims to production instead of the other way around. And that happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the last couple ones here, certificate transparency logs expose sensitive data. I don't know how much I would see that one unless that's something that's
it's probably
newer.
Something that will happen more and more often, but there is a way around that, right? You can use sort of abstracted certificates, right? Where you, where they call them.
That's going to be a very specific person.
Yes.
Is being targeted by that, right? I am the certificate admin. I'm the one putting in the request. And I would hope that if you're putting in those requests, if you're part of those logs, you're more aware.
Yeah.
It actually reminds me of, I was listening to the Dark Web Diaries not long ago, and they were talking about, it was the episode with SIM swappers and other things. And they were talking about how, some guys in the cryptocurrency world worth tons of money are using, like Google Sheets to store their lists of investors and stuff, right? It's like, easy. I'd say that should be on the list, right?
Yeah, and
Stupid way.
Yeah, shared links, absolutely, that are open to anybody that has that link, because we see all the time is like, oh, well, who's going to be able to access this link if I don't give it to them? Well, that link can leak out sometimes through other means, and now everybody has that.
May not get indexed, but somebody will share.
Correct. The last couple ones, USB, innocent USB hardware, right? Rubber duckies and all those things.
You buy Chinese knockoff things, and they have a malware on them. Yes.
Those things. Discarded office printers with, that have like hard-coded Wi-Fi credentials. That one, I actually would change that out to like hard drives found on eBay.
Yeah.
When you
I was going to say,
it's much more of a problem than.
Then it wouldn't fit the strange, or what's the other headline word? Strange or unusual.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the printer one, I mean, if we're going to talk about printers, what about
all the documents?
Full laptop people are giving away? I bought a new laptop, and so I gave. I know that when I was at American Express, we had, every year they would do a auction, and staff members could buy equipment that was being put, and all that money went to charity, right? Like that's how they did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have this equipment, we're replacing it, but instead of throwing it out, we're going to sell it at a ridiculously low price, but then we're going to give the money to charity. And we had this massive process to ensure that data did not reside on those machines. And yet, at least twice that I know of, in the public events, right? This is not Kevin saying, oh, look at this. Drives were missed, that somebody picked it up. That it's like the next one, right? Somebody emails sensitive data to themselves at home. Yes, that's bad. That really seemed like an ad for the company that was talking about it.
It actually did, but
Like I saw this guy email a spreadsheet to do training. Yeah, we know. Like,
so maybe we'll come up with our own top 8.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
I like that. That's what we'll do, and it will be not.
And you can do some sound effects with them, Tom.
I could do sound effects.
Yeah, Tom's got some really cool sound effects.
Privacy sucks. We're gonna die.
Yeah, stuff like that. Exactly.
Okay, that's not a good sound effect.
No,
I lied. I said you had good sound effect.
People thought that was funny, Kevin. Oh, wow. I don't know.
Oh, man.
We have a lot more audience listeners than I thought we did.
Yes, we do.
Live studio audience. With italics and quotes around live.
Yes. Well, let's end this episode before it gets any worse. So.
Yeah. Good plan.
But thank you both. Thank you for the headdresses. This episode. It's an early Halloween treat for our listeners, and hopefully, again, this is also a great opportunity. If you have not subscribed to us on YouTube, please do so you can see all the fun hats that we like to wear. Not every episode, but we'll surprise you. Who knows what Halloween is going to have in store? So check us out on YouTube. Subscribe, of course, if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app. Much appreciated. And until next time, we will talk to all of you again next week. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, hit that like and subscribe button. To catch all the latest from the show, visit our website, sharedsecurity.net. Follow us on Twitter at SharedSec, and join our Reddit community on the Shared Security Show subreddit.